This video is a little different than what I usually do. Today I'm going to talk through some of the differences between Ready Player One, the novel, versus Ready Player One, the film. There are going to be some spoilers for both, so let's go ahead and sound those spoiler warnings. Hopefully, if you are still here, you have either watched the movie and wonder how the book differs, or you've read the book and are just not a fan of film adaptations and you're just wondering how the film differs, or you've read the novel and seen the film and want to take somewhat of a deep dive into some of the differences along with me. Whatever the case, I'm glad you're here. I'm grouping these changes into three categories: changes that improved, questionable changes, and general changes. Now, only one question remains. Are you ready, Player One? Changes that improved. Artemis. Artemis in the book was a block of wood. She didn't really have a lot of character development beyond simply being someone that Wade had a cyber crush on. Other than obsessing over her harder than Rick and Morty fans on Szechuan sauce, Artemis doesn't get much of a real chance to shine in the book. There might be a character there, but we're just seeing her through rose-tinted visor. That's purposely a reference to Ty Sheridan playing Cyclops. In the novel, Wade doesn't even meet the real Artemis until the very end, like 2 pages from the end. But Artemis in the movie is much different, getting almost as much time on screen as Wade, and the movie's all the better for it. We understand early on who she is outside of her Oasis persona. She has goals, desires, and calls Wade out for being gutless when she needs to. There's an entire scene where Olivia Cooke emotes so hard through a motion capture rig, I swear Andy Serkis got goosebumps. Her being a force of video game nature feels organic and natural, and it added so much to the movie. Keys and gate challenges. In the book, there are 3 keys and 3 gates that needed to be completed in order to get Holiday's egg. Solving a riddle got the key, using the key opened a gate for another challenge. 6 obstacles, simple, boom. In the book, this resulted in long spans of time for character development as they ran back and forth. Here's a quick speed run of the tests. The first key is given by beating a lich at Joust. Using the key to open the first gate puts Wade into the leading role of Matthew Broderick's War Games movie. Wade has to act out the entire film without making mistakes to complete it. Look, I love movies. I don't know if I could recite an entire movie with just one take and make it dead perfect, every single line. Other gate challenges include visiting a Blade Runner set in order to play a classic arcade game called Black Tiger for another key. Wade then bumbles through a recreation of Monty Python and the Holy Grail and eventually ends up playing another arcade favorite, Tempest. There are several riddles and scenes in between that are needed to move in between keys and gates, including one involving the band Rush. So there's a pattern in the book where all of Holiday's challenges and clues are focused on pop culture from the 80s. While it's a cool nostalgia trip, it's a hard sell for a 2018 flick, so Spielberg refocused it a bit. He cut back to just 3 key challenges and focused on knowledge of Holiday's personal life to solve the riddles. I like that change because it is in service to the characters instead of the obscure pop culture information that a lot of audiences probably wouldn't understand. While it makes the riddles seem easy to figure out, at least we can understand the clues better. Unfortunately, it also made the challenges seem fairly easy as well. Seriously, in all those years, no one ever accidentally drove backwards in that race. I doubt that. Iron Giant versus Ultraman, Robot Wars. In the novel, Parzival receives the robot Lepardon after completing the second gate. If you're like me, you had no idea what this robot was. Lepardon is actually a giant mechanical robot used in the Japanese version of Spider-Man named Supadaman. Say that again, Supadaman. And it's not just Wade, everyone gets a giant robot. You get a robot, you get a robot, you get a robot, and that's how Sorrento ends up with Mechagodzilla. So thanks, Oprah. While the Iron Giant is mentioned in the book, it really isn't a factor. Ultraman is, however. Parzival, Dato, and Sho complete a side quest in the Oasis and receive an item that allows the player to transform into Ultraman for 3 minutes. Sho gives the item to Parzival, who ends up using it to defeat Mechagodzilla. Flip that around for the movie. On screen, the Iron Giant is utilized heavily instead of Ultraman, which I'm perfectly happy with because I love the Iron Giant so much. I still have the pajamas. Spielberg and Klein both wanted Ultraman for the film, but the rights were tied up in a massive fight between 2 Japanese companies. Look it up. I'm betting both companies are fighting with even more giant robots. Since there was no Ultraman, the entire bit was cut down to only the Iron Giant, a single Gundam, versus Mechagodzilla. Maybe a smaller scale, but it's more focused and the movie's better for it in my opinion. Ogden Morrow is more important in the novel than he is in the film. In the film, we only see him in various flashback type recreations within the Oasis. These are used by Parzival to solve riddles in order to attain all three keys. It is revealed at the end of the movie that Ogden was playing the museum curator that Parzival had spent countless hours talking to in search for those keys. That was a nifty flip. However, this has little impact on the film's story because Og doesn't show up in person to the last few minutes of the movie. And even then, he just offers a team of lawyers to wait. However, the book gives Og Morrow a chance to shine. An invite to his birthday party is what brings Parzival and Artemis to the dance club. He shows incredible powers within the Oasis. He even invisibly watches as the heroes gather the keys. And after a major death, Ogden Morrow flies the remainder of the High Five from all over the world to his mansion, then provides equipment and safety while they complete the quest. He does all of this in order to keep his friend Holliday's last wish to ensure the integrity and spirit of the contest was upheld. Makes you wonder why Ogden didn't get involved more directly as IOI got close to the egg, but I'm going to guess he wanted Parzival to do it all on his own, which is kind of like betting everything on a game of Russian roulette, but whatever, plots. Inside of IOI, Samantha gets captured instead of Wade. In the novel, Wade purposely gets indebted to IOI and forced into indentured servitude in order to pay off his bills. For context, pretend your credit card company showed up to your house and made you a slave over your unpaid balance. It's pretty dark when you think about it. This is all a ploy in order to get inside of IOI, access their servers, and take down their defenses to access the final gate. This is one of the best parts of the book because it's done in a way that the reader has no idea what Wade's plan is. When he gets taken, there is an awesome Shawshank Redemption style escape when the time comes. It had real stakes and that Hail Mary feel that made the whole thing really interesting. But in the film, it is Samantha who gets captured by IOI completely by accident for absolutely no reason other than really plot convenience. Although it is a weird setup, it leads to some really good character building as Artemis sabotages IOI from the inside while dodging security. In particular, there is a really intense scene as she blends in with a room full of IOI employees while Sorrento rips off people's helmets in order to find her. This change gives Artemis a real moment to shine and grow, even if it did take a really awkward plot convenience in order to get her there. The distance. In the book, we are taken to many places throughout the country that gives us glimpses of this real world that feels just one step away from being something from Mad Max Road Warrior. Wade Watts is from Oklahoma City before he moves to Columbus to hide from IOI. Samantha Cook Artemis is from Canada. H is from Atlanta, Georgia. And Sho and Dato are all the way across the globe in Japan. Eventually the entire group does end up in Oregon. This shows the Oasis is something that spans the entire planet, and having our characters spread out throughout the world makes perfect sense. However, the events of the entire movie conveniently take place in one location, Columbus, Ohio. Everyone lives next to each other. Artemis is literally the girl next door. Artemis makes one phone call and the entire group shows up in less than 60 seconds, riding in the same van. I understand why this decision is made, but this is a change that I think weakens the story's vastness as a whole. Timespan. In the film, only a few days pass between Parzival finding the first key to him finding the egg. The novel is another story. We are taking almost a year. That really showcases how difficult these challenges and riddles are. These aren't things that are figured out overnight. Wade finishes a few months of school after completing the first gate while he works on solving the riddle to find the second key. After IOI discovers Wade's identity and his trailer is blown sky high, he uses money earned from his new fame to move to Columbus and shuts himself in an apartment. He spends months there, mostly in self-pity following the breakup of Artemis. I say breakup because they didn't really date. After finishing the second gate, he then spends weeks to months as an indentured slave in IOI as a tech support guy. Oh my god, that's awful.
Hello, IT? Have you tried turning it off and on again?
This is all cut from the movie in the name of pacing and action. It's not a bad choice, it's very noticeable and does take out some things that are really good that worked in the book. Moving on to general changes. These are just things that I generally want to talk about. Dato and Sho. Okay, there's three things with these guys. It is implied that they conveniently live in Columbus, Ohio in the movie. However, as I said previously, in the novel, they live in Japan. In the film, Dato and Sho are already friends with H and Parzival prior to attaining the first key. However, in the book, they are random guys who figured out the clues and got to the first key completely on their own. Shortly after that, they do meet up with Artemis, Parzival, and H. They don't really become friends till towards the end of the book, and only meet Sho in real life. And the reason they only meet Sho in real life brings me to point 3. Dato is actually killed. He's killed by IOI. IOI tracks down Dato and murders him while he's plugged into the Oasis. A hit team shows up, rips him out of his chair, and throws him off a skyscraper. This forces the reader to understand how high these stakes really are and how vulnerable the high five is. I certainly understand having Dato survive in the movie because there's absolutely no way Spielberg's just going to ice this kid. It completely brings down the tone of what Spielberg is going for with the movie. I-Rock. In the movie, I-Rock is made out to be this super badass gamer. For some reason, IOI pays him as a bounty hunter type character. This isn't something I really buy with all the resources and people at Sorrento's disposal. They didn't have a single superstar that could be as awesome as I-Rock. I don't know. They had to hire this guy. Sorrento doesn't strike me as someone who would personally associate with I-Rock, regardless of how powerful or useful he might be. I-Rock is in the book, however, he's a poser. He is some dude who hangs out in H's basement. He pokes fun at Parzival. Really, his only purpose in the book is a straw man to show the readers that Parzival has incredible pop culture knowledge. I-Rock even accidentally helps IOI by posting online that he knows Parzival, leading to the corporation finding the first key shortly after Parzival receives it. And then you never really hear from I-Rock again. I guess trolls really do disappear. The extra life. In the film, Parzival gets the extra life coin from the curator after winning an off-the-cuff bet. In the novel, he gets the extra life coin in a better way. As he is searching for the second key, he comes across a Pac-Man machine on a planet filled with old arcade cabinets. After completing a perfect game on Pac-Man, which is not easy, I'd like to see you guys try that, he receives the mysterious coin. He has no idea what it is, other than it being in his inventory without a description. This change makes sense for the movie because the movie coin makes it seem like it's not really that big a deal. It also doesn't waste valuable screen time on him playing some arcade machine. The anti-gravity dance party. This scene in the movie was one of the most faithful adaptations from the novel. It looks amazing. However, in the book, Ogden Morrow sent an invite to Parzival and Artemis to attend the dance as part of his birthday party. This reasoning puts things into a bit more perspective as to why Artemis and Parzival would go out in public with IOI on their trail. It's a very minor change, but the context is one that I think is worth mentioning. And that's it for my discussion. Obviously, there are a lot more changes than what I've listed here. These are just some of the things I wanted to discuss. Hope you found some of this interesting, and for those of you who have read the novel and seen the film, what are some of the differences that you would notice? Please comment below and let me know. I personally think Ready Player One is the most faithful adaptation of novel to film I've ever seen. If you like this video and want to see more, please subscribe and like, or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm Geek True 64, and I will always tell you